In the annals of mythology, the tales of gods and titans often revolve around mighty battles, fierce rivalries, and the relentless pursuit of power. Zeus, king of the Olympian gods, was not only the ruler of Mount Olympus, but also the arbiter of thunder and lightning, a deity whose very presence commanded respect and awe. Yet, amidst the pantheon of deities and the formidable titans, there existed a force that posed a danger unlike any other, a force that was not born of chaos or rebellion, but rather of an unexpected nature, one that challenged Zeus in ways he had never anticipated. This enemy was not a titan, nor was it another Olympian god. It was something far more insidious, a manifestation of human emotion, a force that emerged from the depths of the human soul. It was a being known as Nemesis, the goddess of retribution and vengeance, who had long been a silent observer of the gods' capriciousness and the folly of mankind. Unlike the Titans who sought to overthrow the Olympians through brute strength, Nemesis wielded the power of balance, justice, and the inevitable consequences of hubris. As the stories unfolded, the mortals of ancient Greece began to whisper of Nemesis, her presence woven into the fabric of their lives. They spoke of her as a guardian of equilibrium, ensuring that no one rose too high without facing the repercussions of their actions. In this way, she became an unexpected adversary of Zeus, who often allowed the mortals to revel in their victories, blind to the scales that would eventually tip against them. Zeus, in his infinite wisdom and authority, believed he had the power to shape the destinies of men and gods alike. He granted favors to heroes, bestowed gifts upon mortals, and even indulged in the whims of his fellow deities. But with every act of generosity, Nemesis watched with a discerning eye, her heart heavy with the knowledge that imbalance was brewing. She understood that the more Zeus elevated the mortals, the greater the fall would be when their hubris inevitably led them astray. It was during a time of great prosperity in Greece that the true nature of Nemesis began to reveal itself. The cities flourished, and the people sang the praises of Zeus, attributing their success to his divine intervention. Temples were built in his honor, and festivals celebrated his might. Yet, as the mortals grew complacent, they also grew arrogant, forgetting the humility that once defined their existence. It was this arrogance that caught the attention of Nemesis, who decided it was time to restore balance. In the heart of Athens, a young hero named Lycaon emerged, celebrated for his bravery and skill in battle. He had vanquished foes, saved his city from invaders, and was hailed as a demigod by the people. Fueled by the adoration of the masses, Lycaon grew increasingly prideful, believing himself invincible. He began to challenge the very gods, declaring that he was above their influence, that he could shape his own fate without their guidance. This proclamation echoed through the halls of Olympus, stirring a mixture of amusement and concern among the gods. Zeus, intrigued by the audacity of the mortal, decided to pay a visit to Lycaon in disguise. He appeared as a humble traveler, seeking shelter and a meal. The young hero welcomed him with open arms, eager to boast of his accomplishments. As they feasted, Zeus listened intently, allowing the hero to extol his virtues and achievements. But as the night wore on, the king of the gods could no longer contain his discontent. "Tell me, young hero," Zeus began, his voice steady yet laced with authority, "do you not fear the consequences of your pride? The gods have a way of reminding mortals of their place." Lycaon laughed, dismissing the warning as mere superstition. "I fear no god. I am the master of my fate, and I will not bow to anyone. I have earned my place among the stars." Zeus, now revealing his true form, unleashed a thunderous laugh that echoed through the hall. "You are indeed brave, but bravery without wisdom is folly. You tread a perilous path, young one. Beware the scales of Nemesis, for she will not allow your arrogance to go unpunished." But Lycaon, emboldened by his newfound status, brushed aside the warning. He believed himself untouchable, a demigod destined for greatness. As the days turned into weeks, he continued to flaunt his victories, challenging the gods and daring them to intervene. Little did he know that Nemesis was already at work, weaving a tapestry of retribution that would soon ensnare him. In the shadows, Nemesis observed the unfolding events with a heavy heart. She had long grappled with the balance of power between gods and mortals, and Lycaon's hubris was a stark reminder of the consequences that awaited those who defied the natural order. She knew that the time had come to act, to restore equilibrium, and remind the world of the importance of humility. As the sun set on the horizon, casting a golden hue over Athens, Nemesis descended from the heavens, cloaked in shadows, her presence felt but unseen. She approached Lycaon, who was reveling in yet another victory, surrounded by adoring fans. In that moment, she whispered into the ears of those gathered, planting seeds of doubt and envy among them. The crowd, once united in their admiration, began to murmur, questioning the hero's worthiness and fearing that he might eclipse them all. The seeds of discord took root, and soon, whispers turned into accusations. Jealousy festered among the mortals, and they began to turn against their once beloved hero. Lycaon, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, grew agitated. He confronted the crowd, demanding their loyalty, but the more he pressed, the more they recoiled. The very adoration that had once lifted him now became a heavy burden, and the weight of his arrogance began to crush him. In a fit of rage, Lycaon lashed out, declaring that he would prove himself worthy to the gods once and for all. He challenged Zeus, vowing to ascend to Mount Olympus and claim his rightful place among the deities. This declaration sent shockwaves through the divine realm, and even Zeus, who had witnessed countless acts of defiance, felt a twinge of concern. The king of the gods knew that such arrogance could not go unchallenged, but he also understood that the true retribution would come from Nemesis. As Lycaon began his ascent to Olympus, the skies darkened, and thunder rumbled ominously. The winds howled, and the very earth seemed to tremble beneath his feet. Zeus, now fully aware of the gravity of the situation, summoned the other gods to deliberate on how to handle the impetuous hero. They gathered in the throne room, their expressions a mixture of concern and amusement. "What shall we do with this mortal who believes he can challenge the gods?" Ares asked, his voice dripping with disdain. "He seeks to elevate himself above us, to claim a throne that is not his." Athena, wise and contemplative, spoke up. "Let us not act in haste. There is a lesson to be learned here, one that may serve as a reminder to both mortals and gods alike. If we intervene too harshly, we may only fuel his arrogance." Zeus nodded, recognizing the wisdom in her words. "Very well. We shall allow him to ascend, but we will not grant him the power he seeks. Instead, we will let Nemesis do what she does best." As Lycaon reached the gates of Olympus, he was met by a chorus of laughter from the gods. They mocked him, their voices echoing through the halls. "What brings you here, mortal? Have you come to claim your throne among us?" Undeterred, Lycaon stood tall, chest puffed out, and declared, "I am here to take my place among you. I have proven myself worthy, and I will not be denied." But as he spoke, the very air around him began to shift. Nemesis, hidden from sight, unleashed the full force of her power. The winds howled, and the ground shook as she conjured illusions of grandeur and despair. Lycaon suddenly found himself surrounded by visions of his past, the faces of those he had wronged, the friends he had betrayed in his rise to glory. Each visage was a reminder of the cost of his arrogance, and as he faltered, the laughter of the gods grew louder. "Do you see now, Lycaon?" Nemesis whispered, her voice echoing in his mind. "You have sown the seeds of your own destruction. The very people you sought to elevate now turn against you, their love replaced by envy and resentment." Overwhelmed by the weight of his own hubris, Lycaon fell to his knees, the laughter of the gods ringing in his ears. "Please," he pleaded, "I did not mean to offend. I only sought to prove my worth." But it was too late. The scales of Nemesis had tipped, and the balance had been restored. In that moment, Zeus, witnessing the fall of the once mighty hero, felt a pang of sympathy. He realized that even in his role as the king of gods, He too was not immune to the consequences of pride. The laughter faded, replaced by a somber silence as the realization of their own failings washed over the divine assembly. "Rise, Lycaon," Zeus said, his voice firm yet compassionate. "You have learned a valuable lesson today. Humility is the true measure of greatness, and it is a lesson we all must remember." With that, the winds stilled, and the illusions faded. The gates of Olympus opened, but Lycaon, now humbled, chose to turn away. He descended from the heights, back to the mortal realm, a changed man. The whispers of Nemesis followed him, a reminder that the balance of power is delicate, and that both gods and mortals must tread carefully in their pursuits. As time passed, the story of Lycaon became a cautionary tale among the mortals. They spoke of the hero who had dared to challenge the gods and learned the hard way that arrogance leads to downfall. Meanwhile, Nemesis continued her watch over the world, ensuring that the scales of justice remained balanced. She became a silent guardian of humility, a force that reminded both gods and mortals of their place in the grand tapestry of existence. Zeus, too, learned from the encounter. He became more mindful of the gifts he bestowed upon mortals, understanding that with every favor came the potential for hubris. The laughter of the gods transformed into a deeper understanding of their responsibilities. They were not just rulers, but stewards of balance, tasked with guiding humanity while ensuring that the lessons of humility were never forgotten. In the end, it was not the Titans or other gods who posed the greatest threat to Zeus, but the very essence of human nature itself. The struggle between pride and humility, between ambition and balance, became the true battleground upon which the fate of both mortals and deities rested. And in this ongoing narrative, Nemesis stood as a formidable force, a reminder that the greatest enemy of Zeus was not one that could be vanquished with thunder and lightning, but rather one that resided in the hearts and minds of those who dared to reach for the stars.